Hello and welcome back to the Barrens. In today's episode, I will be talking about something that when I first learned about it, I was in shock. It's one of those things that seems so unbelievable, and when you find out that it actually happened, you wonder how on earth it ever did. And this particular event happens to be about Walter Collins. Now, I'm not going to get into the Wineville chicken coop murders in this episode. I can do that another time if you want. But it was the aftermath of the chicken coop murders that I'm going to focus on. More specifically, how a boy named Walter Collins was replaced with another child for months. Christine Ida Collins was born on December 14, 1888. She lived in Los Angeles, California, where she met her husband, Walter J. Collins. This, however, was just an alias. Walter was actually an ex-convict that hid his identity from her. They had a son in September of 1918, after which the father landed himself in prison. Christine was a telephone operator at the time. Everything seemed normal on March 10, 1928, as she gave her son money to go to the movies. But things took a turn when Walter never came home. Once Christine reported Walter missing, it was about 5 months before the police came forward, claiming to have found the young boy in Illinois. Christine paid the $70 to have him brought back to LA. However, when the boy arrived, Christine claimed that while they did look similar, it wasn't her son. Captain J.J. Jones talked her into taking the boy home, however. He assured her that it was likely due to the trauma and the stress that he looked a bit different. So Christina took the child home with her. 3 weeks later, she brought him back to the police station with Walter's dental records and accounts from people who knew her son, stating that this boy was not him. But Jones declared that Christine was a lunatic and that she was just trying to abandon her child and get the state to raise him. He also claimed that she was a bad mother and was just trying to ridicule the police who, at the time, were under scrutiny. He then had Christine committed to the psychiatric ward at LA County General Hospital. He did this under a Code 12, which basically meant that anyone who caused the police trouble, they got rid of them by dumping them into an asylum. But on September 15, 1928, a youth named Sanford told investigators that his uncle kidnapped and abused him. He also mentioned that he was forced to watch other children get abused and murdered. One of them included Walter Collins. And while the location given did contain the bodies of several kids, Walter Collins was not one of them. It wasn't until a handwriting expert analyzed Walter Collins' writing with the child in Christine's home that the police actually took into account that they might be wrong. Finally, the boy admitted to his fraud and his real identity. His name was Arthur Hutchins. He was a 12-year-old runaway from Iowa who stated that when he saw the opportunity to get away from his father and cruel stepmother, and also get a trip to California, that he took the chance and told police that he was Walter Collins. Rather than seem remorseful, he was said to have stated that Christine must have known he wasn't her son, and it was kind of like a big game that they were playing. He was returned to his mother, and 10 days later, Christine was released from the psychiatric ward. She was supposed to receive $10,800 because of her treatment by the authorities, but J.J. Jones never paid her. Meanwhile, Arthur Hutchins was sent to a reform school. In 1933, in response to the situation, he wrote, "A person doesn't realize what a hell this world can be at the hands of a stepmother that doesn't love or want you." It should be noted, however, that Arthur was also trying to run from local police at the time. Later that summer, however, he did mention that he owed Christine in California an apology for his deceptive actions. Unfortunately, the real Walter Collins was never found. Christine never gave up, though, and continued her search for him until her death in 1964, which was 36 years after her son went missing. If you want to learn more about this and the actual events of the Wineville murders, you can look that stuff up, or I suggest watching the movie The Changeling. It's a Clint Eastwood movie that was made back in 2008, and it stars Angelina Jolie. A lot of the story seems pretty true to what I've read on the case. I do warn you, though, that it is a sad and gruesome tale, much like its real-life inspiration. But that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed listening. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for joining me in the Barrens.